Hi, and welcome to the YouTube channel of GenderParityUK. My name is Philip Tanser. We are an organization dedicated to highlighting discrimination against boys and men based on their gender. On this channel, we will address bias against males on a government level, social inequalities, bias in the media, and in institutions. Today, I would like to highlight legal discrimination against fathers pushed and reinforced by government-funded organizations like Women's Aid. Currently, the Children's Scotland Bill is going through the third stage in the Scottish Government. This bill is designed to better protect children and make their voices heard in the family court system. It will not surprise anyone that the family courts are already dramatically favoring mothers by default, and fathers are seen as second-class parents. But this current status quo that already discriminates against fathers is not enough for organizations like Women's Aid, that see fathers as default perpetrators of abuse and mothers as default victims. Unfortunately, it is a fact that the majority of abuse on children is perpetrated by mothers, not by fathers. In parts, this can be explained by mothers usually being the primary caregiver, but it also demonstrates that mothers can be just as abusive as fathers. This document pretends to reflect the views of a young expert group on domestic abuse, but the positions expressed in this document are clearly the attempt of the lobby organization Women's Aid to further demonize all fathers, paint them as perpetrators of abuse, and mothers as the only parent children should have contact to. For Women's Aid, this is about power and funding. I will share parts of the document with you. I need to highlight that at no point does this document say that the recommended approach only applies to cases where the father was proven to be abusive. It is simply assumed that the father is abusive and the mother is a victim and the better parent. This ideological approach puts many children and fathers in a horrible position, and actually, quite frankly, it puts many children at risk. A fact that Women's Aid does not care about at all. So let's go through a couple of the quotes from this document, and I will just read them out to you out of context, and believe me, the context is actually worse than the quotes sound right now, because you will assume that there is a bigger context to it, where the father is announced to be an abuser, but that is not the case. The whole document is gendered and seeing fathers per definition as abusive and mothers per definition as innocent and acting in the best interest of the children, not in their own best interest. So let's look at some of the quotes. Quote, "This will give them a chance to speak to people they trust about all their fears. They should be allowed to talk to their mom about what to do and not told to keep the decision secret from their moms." End quote. Quote, "It can be really difficult if people from the court ask you about the abuse you experienced, and for your views on your dad and having contact with him when you don't know where these views are going." End quote. Quote, "The courts should be aware of how much pressure dads can put on children when they are giving their views." End quote. Quote, "The child can be too scared to say how they really feel because their dad is demanding to know and is very angry." End quote. And again, there is no context to it. This is not about a specific case. These are general statements about dads and general statements about moms. All dads and all moms. Quote, "Adults always seem to be given more priority than children, even though it is all supposed to be about the child." End quote. The reason why I read this quote is because we agree with that. The priority should be given to the children, and the children should really be listened to. But this whole document is only about giving the mother more access to the children and more contact to the children, and the right for the mother to prepare the children for the court. And the document explicitly wants to exclude fathers from any kind of contact with the children. And again, the document did not start with saying this document is about cases where the father is abusive. This document is a general document. Quote, and this is about contact centers where parents and children can meet. Quote, the buildings they are in should be safe for children. They shouldn't have to walk through the same entrance or exit at the same time as their dad. End quote. Quote, the staff shouldn't let dads bring presents to the contact center for their children. End quote. This just goes to show how deep the hate towards father is within the organization Women's Aid. And unfortunately, this is a collaboration with the University of Edinburgh. So I'm quite shocked that such an incredibly gendered document would come out of the University of Edinburgh or would be sanctioned by them. Quote, solicitors shouldn't be able to call children liars. Also, it's hard to see your mom being treated badly by people in the court, and this shouldn't happen. End quote. Obviously, it's absolutely fine if your father is being treated badly. If the child has experienced domestic abuse, then the person speaking to them should have a lot of knowledge on how domestic abuse affects children and their moms. End quote. Again, it only and exclusively focuses on abuse that women experience. What if the mother is actually the abusive part? What if the mother abuses the children and the husband? What if the mother uses the children against the husband? All these cases are completely ignored. And so we really think this document doesn't care about children at all and is only about the rights and the powers of women and more influence for Women's Aid. And this is very, very sad to see. This document was created by an organization called the Improving Justice in Child Contact Project, and it is funded by the European Rights, Equality and Citizenship Program. Obviously, there is no equality in this document unless you see discrimination against men as equality, which unfortunately a lot of organizations nowadays do. One amongst them is Women's Aid. I hope you found this video informative. Please look up the document to check that everything I've been saying is accurate, and it's actually a little bit worse in the document because there are a couple of things that I didn't mention because I didn't want this video to be too long. It would be great if you hit the like and subscribe button, if you share this video with Women's Aid, also with Women's Aid Scotland. They are responsible for this, and I actually found this document because Women's Aid Scotland retweeted it. If you are in contact with the University of Edinburgh, please ask them about this document and if they stand behind this. If you want to really help, it would be great if you would get in contact with us through our Twitter or YouTube channel. The links are below. And we are trying to create a network of supporters that are willing to work with us, writing to MPs, writing to newspapers, and highlighting discrimination against men. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.